Hey everyone, good afternoon. My session was supposed to be at 2, but So myself, Abhijith. My full name is Abhijith Babirajan Renuga. Now you know, like why I call myself ABX. I used to work with different organizations in the past, a couple of big fours. Then I used to work with Nissan Motor Corporation. I mean, once you say your name, they are going to butcher your name. I mean, Abhi was much better, but it kind of became my hacker handle. So it was very easy for me to introduce myself as ABX rather than Abhijith, Babirajan Renuga. I mean, totally different story. So I also run the advisory village at DEFCON. We are also hosting advisory village there in the big Dom Lake building with a couple of hands-on activities and stuff like that. I mean, some of you might have seen me earlier with a black hoodie. That is adversary village one. This is, my personal thing. That's the reason I am not wearing. I mean, I don't mix my community and commercial stuff. I think yeah, that's it. I also keep a blog, more like a technical blog under tacticadversary.io, more like the stuff I do, the research I do, stuff like that. So I think you have noticed the elephant in here, right? This one. Yeah, the concept behind that is like I'm coming from South India, which is famous for Indian elephants. We kind of hunt down the elephants from the baby form, and we make them obey our commands, and we use them in our temples just for fun. That's like that is the I like the elephants because if you look at the old age, the mammoths will be. I mean, they used to hunted by human, right? So here, if you are considering a mammoth as a organization, now the organization itself, carrying the spear. So that's the concept behind attack simulation, adversary simulation. So that's the reason why I chose the logo of an elephant carrying a spear, as my company logo. Okay, greetings to HashSpaceCon. This is my second year at HashSpaceCon. I was here last year as well. This is my second year, and we need to set up the lab environment for the workshop. I think a couple of folks are having laptops. Before going forward, so I still know many people are using like notepads to take notes, right? I mean, we can still do that, but in case of technical notes, we need them, right? When we need them. So I used to do a couple of engagements for the business as well. They don't let you take anything inside, like maybe notes or anything. Maybe you can use your devices maybe in airplane mode or something to refer something like that. So that's the reason I kind of promote the note taking everywhere. I don't work for these organizations. Option is a very, very good option. Joplin is a better open source alternative for Obsidian. You can use it on in your multiple devices, Linux, Windows, mobile devices, so and so. And this is the Discord URL. If you would like to join for, I'll be posting the commands and everything in there. That is one thing. And this is a local lab environment, which I am going to using for this training here. And let's build the lab. We can download the VM images, we should be around 15 to 20 GB, and start going with the workshop. Yeah, no, we are not going to do that. I know you will be, like you will be literally like hitting me, like So we have a platform, and we have given you like 4 hours of lab time, the entire setup, where you will be accessing. You can access it using your own browser. So if you are using this URL right now, I have assigned like 4 hours of lab time, so you can access your lab in the, the cloud itself. Then by the end of the day, it will be, the credits will be removed. You noted down, right? This is more like the sessions I do for different conferences, the free workshops. So I have compiled everything and made it as a free course. So the lab and everything. Lab, some credits are required, but everything I do at different conferences for free, everything I have added to the platform so that it can be used by anyone who wants to have a look. Okay, we are not going to do the local lab setup. This is the cloud setup. I don't want to create an extensive RET infrastructure or anything. This is very simple. In the cloud, we have an attacker setup and a couple of vulnerable machines, and we have created a SR replica of a SIM environment using Elastic and Elastic Defense, because the EDR component of Elastic is very free. I mean, it is free to an extent, not all the time. I mean, to an extent. So we can use it for the training purposes. And when we do this for the corporate trainings, what we use is like their own SIM setup. I mean, we get access from their SIM provider, and we do it internally. Okay, let's do this. If you have visited the lab environment, it should look like this, right? Okay. If you have visited the lab environment, it should look something similar to this. So on the left side, you can see the command param. Let me duplicate my screen. I think that's much better. Duplicate. All right. Yeah, this is something like this. You can see the chapters and everything in this section, and you will be able to see the systems, because if you have joined, you can see that you have been assigned a couple of credits to run the entire lab. So these are our machines in the left side to carry on with the exercises. So just to make sure you log on to the platform. All right. Okay, going back to the slide here, let's talk about offensive cybersecurity. So how many of you guys are from an offensive background? Offensive security background? Oh, come on. No? From a defensive background? Okay, I think most of the people are, okay, you guys are my enemies. No, I don't want to talk to you. And so, see, in my purple team training, I usually used to tell people that you should work closely with your blue team, internal blue team or client's blue team. Still, I mean, theoretically that is okay, but when we talk about a corporate environment, too much politics are there. You cannot just simply go to the blue team and work together with them. I mean, these two companies will be totally owned by two different directors who have been enemies for the last 20 years, right? I mean, the head of enterprise IT, head of offensive security, and head of security operations. I mean, have you ever seen three of them are like sitting together and having lunch together? It would not happen. I mean, no. So offensive security is basically testing everything continuously, identifying security issues, and helping the defense teams to get it resolved. I mean, it all comes under offensive, because I am a bit biased towards offensive because my background is like from offensive security background. So these all comes under offensive cybersecurity operations, starting from red teaming to covert operations. Once you got into a very mature environment, I mean, covert operations are going to be a part of your cyber defense as well. So very tricky question. Any of your organization faced a breach or target attack? I don't know. People, I mean, you cannot answer that, right? I mean, no one will be. So these are evolving threat actors which we are seeing for the past couple of years. It used to be a simple virus like 15-20 years ago. Now we don't even know what we are seeing right now, right? It has, I mean, the complexity is beyond our understanding now. So starting from malware to zero-day exploits, everything will be attacking your elephant. I mean your organization. Then you will need your defenses to prepare against that. Also the war, like let's say when we talk about cyber war, we have seen Ukraine and war between Ukraine and Russia, and before 2 weeks, like we have seen the kind of a very small war between India and Pakistan. So I would like to share talk about many more things, but these guys are recording my talk, so they say kind of very small thing. Okay, before we go into MITRE, I want to show you something real quickly about the threat tactics. We just talked about threat tactics, evolving threat tactics, right? So, wait. This is from a presentation I did for MITRE couple of weeks ago. Couple of months ago. Okay, so we can see some very innocent looking animals in there, right? Can you guess? We just talked about the tactics and adversary groups. So we have a very innocent looking panda. A cat is there. A leopard is there. Can anyone guess? Yeah, bear. I mean, in Cozy bear is there. Viceroy panda is there. Pandas are everywhere. Like the thing with pandas, I'll get to that. So here we can see like four different tactics or adversary groups. First one is like wicked panda, the pandas, or APT41. A Chinese, a panda of Chinese origin. The thing with Chinese tractate groups, they share everything. If you look at like any other country, they don't share anything. They don't share their infrastructure, they don't share their TTPs or anything. So if you are looking at like 10 different tractates coming from China, you can very easily observe that they're also sharing their infrastructure, their tooling and TTPs. They're very, that means they're all funded by the same, person or whoever that is, right? So another, this one is like, MITRE, we'll get to that. I'll show you how to use MITRE Attack Navigator. This is very fancy looking, emulation plan which we have created for APT41. And the next one, Vanguard Panda, again, kind of, of the same origin. They have targeted Singapore, Singtel back in 2024, I guess. Another tactic group. Then Black Cat ransomware. This is also, very infamous tactic group. They deployed ransomware after, attacking and compromising their target. So I'm trying to say so many things, but since these guys told me that they are recording, then I'm kind of okay. And finally, the last one, because since I'm from India, I would have to point out that that attack is coming from targeting my country as well. This is another threat tactic group. The stuff they did, which was very simple. There was a 2FA authentication app called Kavach. They kind of used Kavach to get into Indian officials, machines or compromise them. Very simple. So since we talked about all these tractates, very common tractates, I have pointed out like 4 different tractates here only because we did some research against them. We created emulation plans against them. We emulated their activities as well. So that's the reason I kind of point out 4 different tractates here. So now let's talk about the targets, the enterprises. So let's say these tractates are targeting the enterprises. So when I say enterprises, companies with big money, huge money, right? Huge defense budget, right? So that's the reason we have put defense level as 9, because they can take care of the attacks which is coming towards them. They'll be having a good threat intel team, good attack simulation team, good security operation team, good incident response team. They have the budget. Does it look familiar? Right? So even if you are looking over any of your enterprise laptop, you can see at least 15 to 20 different agents running in there, right? And yet we don't have any idea, like, even if you are using all these security products, your organization, many organizations are still getting breached. So that, I have assigned defense level 9 to the enterprises. Now look at something. I would like to show you a quick demo. So because we do red team engagements against major organizations, which having all these security products, right? So very small demo of bypassing an enterprise security product. I was not supposed to use any of the non names in here because some of my clients are working with them, right? So we are not supposed to shit talk about them. So that's the reason we use something with a free access. So they don't care, right? So the concept is, if we can do to, they are also using the same concept to monitor stuff. If we can do this to a free one, we can also do the same thing to whatever big names you are thinking in your mind right now. We can bypass it. I got the reversal in the open source CT2. So this is an example of bypassing enterprise defense controls, only one control, right? And the second thing is target is going to be government organizations. The defense level is 8 because even though they have the budget, red tape is involved. If you need a certain defense tooling, you need to go through different set of approvals to get it done, right? So that's the reason defense level has been marked as 8. Again, government organization, there is no budget constraints, but the red tape is involved. Another demo, like what would a nation state threat actor typically do to bypass enterprise defenses? Another tool, again, I am not supposed to use any well-known names in there. I hope you would like this. Very, very simple bypass against your friend. I mean, yeah, our friend, yes. Again, we got the reverse connection bypass. I mean, right? It is very easy for us to bypass an EDR product or antivirus product, even if it is deployed in an enterprise environment or a government environment, right? So we got the reverse connection. And the last thing is like defense level 2, that is for general public. If a threat actor is targeting you, I mean, enterprises is a different story. But if a threat actor is targeting a government organization, they will be going after, they will not be going after only the employees. They will be going after everyone around you, right? If a threat actor is targeting me, they know that the easiest option would be targeting my family to get information about me. My family's machines will not be having any of the defense control which I just talked about. Even if we have the defensive controls, it is now you know how it is for a offensive security processor to bypass them, right? So what about the general public, right? There is a question I raise, and I don't have an answer, so I was just showing it off. All right. I mean, that's not supposed to be a part of this talk, but that's the case. Okay, now go back. I'm going back to my original slide here. All right. So I talk a bit fast, but just let me know if you are not. I mean, I'm not a native English speaker. Let me know if you are having difficulties with understanding. Okay. All right. So I need to talk about MITRE attack and cyber kill chain because one of the big methodologies when it comes to adversary emulation is MITRE attack, because they are continuously contributing to the community with respect to threat intel, and they have created the matrix to list everything, more like a Bible, or more like a a go-to book, more like a phone book of TTPs. Now there is a question coming from many people: why this attack is not listed under MITRE attack? Maybe someone has seen a new attack vector and they are complaining that why I am not seeing this in MITRE attack. Do you have an answer for that? Anyone? Why? I mean, many people have seen this, right? There is a new attack vector and it is not being shown in MITRE attack matrix, right? Why does it happen? Anyone? No? So the thing is, they have created the matrix only from the attribution. If someone is using a threat actor is using a certain TTP and it's been identified by a researcher, then only they will be adding the same to the matrix. If some attacker has a new tool or new technique or procedure, they are not disclosing it. They are not using it for any other malicious activity, only for themselves, then it will not show up in MITRE attack. And this is also volunteer driven. Someone needs to find it and someone needs to report it to MITRE. Then they will be reviewing it, and then they will be adding it to the matrix. It's more like you can use it as a kind of a checklist, but we cannot hope that everything will be listed in there, right? That's a funny part. And this thing is like Lockheed Martin. I mean, I mostly use the MITRE attack for the workshop, so I just wanted to point out that there is another methodology. I mean, again, it would create a lot of confusion also. Like, let's say different security vendors, they name the same same threat actor in different names. Attribution. That also created a lot of confusion. Okay, next question is how would you defend against such cyber threats? Like, are we going to procure more cyber security products? Because vendors are everywhere. I mean, I'm not a vendor, but again. Uh, so that is the concept behind attack simulation, because even though you have invested in a lot of security products, how do you know that these products are working very well? You are getting your ROI because you brought. I'll give you a story like Symantec, right? Before Broadcom procured Symantec. Symantec has a feature called Sonar. Sonar. Anyone know Sonar? Yeah. So many organizations they are using Symantec for at least 10 to 15 years as an antivirus, basic antivirus, right? So Sonar was before the EDR era, Sonar has kind of a lot of functionality with respect to credential dumping and active directory related recon attacks. But no one cared to turn on Sonar, right? They have been paying for Sonar for the last couple of years, and they never turned on Sonar, right? So I was doing some testing couple of years back. Then I was able to do some some credential dumping and lateral movement, everything. When I reviewed the security, defense tooling, they had Sonar there, but they didn't even care to turn on Sonar. So what is the return of investment there? You're paying for Sonar for the last 2-3 years, and you haven't even using it, right? The semantic, they reach out to the VP and okay, we have a new feature. Are you purchasing it? Okay, I am purchasing it. Okay, done. The endpoint security people, there is a team. In many cases, there are teams named endpoint security manager, right? Their only job is to deploy agents and take care of it, right? So this is why we need continuous attack simulation to test against security products and understand they are functioning very well and they are working as per ROI. And also, if you are into red teaming, you know that many of the time attackers are bypassing EDR or antivirus products because they are not very well configured. They are they are being used as an off-shell mode. Okay, anyone who doesn't know what red team is, what is red teaming? Okay, awesome. This is something I did a talk for DEF CON, a DEF CON village couple of years back, how to build an internal red team for your organization. And blue team, okay, coming to adversary emulation. So this is where we are going to focus on. Emulation is more like, it comes under offensive security, but we are emulating the known TTPs of a threat actor or an adversary group. We are not getting creative here. We are only following the footsteps of that attacker, right? That's the basic concept of adversary emulation. Simulation is like this is more like red teaming. You are becoming more creative, and you are in mixing in between. Even though you are kind of following a threat actor's activities, you can also add additional options like additional attacks, additional tooling, so and so, and you can make it more dynamic. I'll come to that. And again, purple teaming is all about collaboration, but it's not theoretical. It needs to, there are many issues there, but still we can find a way to collaborate in between. So this is where, this picture is from a South Indian martial art. It is called Kalaripayattu. It's more like, it's a real martial art, more with weapons and stuff like that. So this is a very nice story, let's say offensive and defensive. When you get into a martial arts school, the very first thing they will teach you is how to harden yourself. Sorry, how to take a fall. They will teach you how to take a fall without hurting your body, right? Then they will teach you strengthening exercises, how to make your body stronger. Then they will teach you the, each attack vectors, combination of attacks. Then you will get someone to test against. You will get your sparring partner. You will have to play with your sparring partner to, fine tune your skills, right? Then the next time you get into a street fight, then you get to know that, okay, the stuff which I have learned for the past couple of years, there is nothing when you get into a street fight. Street fight is going to be very brutal, right? In this case, we can consider street fight as a targeted attack from a nation state sponsored attacker, right? Even though you were preparing for it, and you get to know that this is nothing. Then again, you go back to your dojo, then you start learning, you continue training, right? So that is a philosophy behind adversary emulation as well. Continuous, continuously testing your security controls, continuously test against non-threat actors, unknown threat actors, then improve your defenses. By the time an actual threat actor come and hit you, you will be able to, defend against it. Okay, I've been, telling the backstory in a very, very fast manner because we have only, 2 hours to cover everything, right? So usually, I mean, we spent a couple of, minutes for each slide because, to explain the logic there. Okay, before we go into the planning section, there are a couple of things to get approved. So what do you know? Anyone could tell me what is the difference between red teaming and adversary emulation? Awesome, awesome. Well, that is more like expensive. Red teaming is expensive. So if you're hiring an external red team to do an engagement in your organization, expensive, right? And you need months of planning. You need budget approvals. You need multiple approvals, right? It's, it is tedious because of the money, right? So on the other side, adversary emulation, that is more like you just need one or two security people to get it started, and it brings more value in terms of the organization, right? So it's more like, but at the same time, when you start adversary emulation, you need to define the scope of the engagement. For like, if it is a very big organization, multiple verticals will be there, multiple teams will be there, right? So your plan would be, okay, which area am I targeting right now? Which security products am I targeting right now? Am I targeting the endpoints? Am I going to touch the attack is against endpoints or my internet-facing servers? So two of the most, most used initial access vectors. Could anyone name them? Two of the most used initial access vectors in the, is also listed in the MITRE attack matrix. Initial access vectors. One is like exploiting internet-faced surveys, right? Second one is like phishing, right? So when it comes into adversary emulation, if you are testing it against endpoint laptops, every other attack targeting the endpoints will be, used, right? If you are targeting like the surveys, then different set of approvals are needed. The server management team will be a different team altogether. Their boss will be a different man altogether. That doesn't have with any ties with your secure team. You will have to get different set of approvals. So that's why the scope of engagement is too important, because it depends on the area of the organization which you are targeting to emulate the attacks. If it is endpoints, I mean, see, if you are talking theoretically, it is very easy. You can just tell that, okay, scope your engagement, done. But if you are doing it in enterprise environment, things will change, right? Totally change. Also, the rules of engagement. Okay, which area are you? What are the different set of attack tactics you plan to emulate? So nowadays it is becoming a mandatory thing by government. Let's say RBI, Reserve Bank of India, they have started to inform banks to perform certain ransomware emulations based on the attacks coming into the country or coming against the fintech sector, right? So based on that, you'll have to come up with a plan, a rules of engagement, a scope as well. So and also make sure to align the same with existing regulations or any other compliance body, so that it would bring more value, right? I mean, going ahead and performing adversary emulation is not a big thing; it's a small thing. But dealing with all these kind of things, I mean, that is the stuff where we need to make more focused on. Yes, CISA is doing that. Yeah, that is important because CISA is doing in US. CISA is. I used to work for a fintech in US. So CISA is sending out advisories to fintechs. Okay, let's say Ukraine-Russia war. Ukraine is targeting Russia. Russia is targeting Ukraine. But when Russia is targeting Ukraine, they will not be targeting the government organizations only. They will be targeting the tech companies in Ukraine as well. Maybe some of the US origin companies. then the attack will be coming to your organization as well. Then CISA will start sending, advisories to fintech organization. There is a threat actor coming your way. You need to emulate within your organization just to make sure that your defenses are, capable of detecting and defending it, right? So that compliance part is also important, because now governments and major fintech organizations, they have kind of identified, the importance of attack simulation. Then the last thing is very important, dealing with issues and broken stuff. You need to know like whom to deal with, how to deal with, how to de-escalate, these kind of things. This is a real concept, very nice one. Threat informed defense coined by MITRE CTID, because they offer you a very cool framework to perform attack simulation in your organization. So on fine day, you have decided to perform adversary emulation in your organization, you are going to your VP and saying that, okay, I'm going to do adversary simulation. It doesn't work like that. You need to, have a proper plan in mind. So that is where CTID comes into picture. So they have very detailed, architecture and framework to perform continuous adversary emulation, powered by cyber threat intelligence, right? So we can use this framework to convey or convince our management. Okay, this is suggested by MITRE being the known name in the industry. So created by MITRE, we can use it in our organization. We'll be following their framework to perform adversary emulation, right? So you have that framework in place. Complaints may differ based on your organization's, industry and so on. So pyramid of pain, I'm not talking about this. I just quickly give an introduction. The pyramid of pain from David Bianco, all the blue team guys do, right? So here we are, let's say the hash. An attack is positive. I can change the hash very easily, right? You can add the defense very easily, right? But when it comes into tools and TTP, that is the hardest. The TTPs an attacker will be using, and once you enable from the defense side, once you have detection scenarios for that behavior, then the adversary will have to go back and create the TTPs from the scratch. So basically, the concept is making it very hard for the attacker, to get into an organization. That's a basic concept. So I need to do the hands-on as fast as possible. So that's the reason I'm kind of, okay. Here, like I mentioned, I have shown you a couple of threat tactics, and you need to know your adversary. You need to collect, TTPs used by certain threat acts. Let's say you are from a fintech, and you know from a couple of sources that there is a new threat actor in town and targeting your competitions, right? So you can do two things. If that threat actor has public CTA data, some researchers have their public CTA data published somewhere. So you can use that, you can reference that, and you can create a list of activities performed by that attacker, right? So if you are an enterprise, most probably the paid, the private data feeds, paid companies will be giving you CTA, right? Let's say, again, I'm not naming anyone because recorded. They will be reaching out to you. But the funny thing is, how much of actionable data they are sending to you? They are at least sending 5 different tactics every day. But how much? It is not practical for you to create 10 different attack simulation plan for 10 different attackers and execute in your organization. It doesn't work like that, right? How do you differentiate this is actionable threat intelligence, even if you are using a private field? There is on big thing, right? So I will quickly show you how to collect threat intel data using openly available sources. There is a very short lab exercises for 10 minutes. I will give 2 minutes to do it because 2 hours. So here, what we are going to do is create actionable threat intel data based on your organization. So this is simple one, but I will show you a very nice tool to do that. So there is a project from MITRE. I'll be using a lot of stuff from MITRE, but I don't work for them. So very nice project from MITRE. is called blueprints. Yeah, CTA blueprints. Oh, I'm sorry. My screen is not. I'm sorry. Yes. Listen, here they have an authoring tool because see, most of the time when we collect CTI, we'll be using something like an Excel sheet or a table or a notepad to collect the list of activities performed by that attacker, right? So this is more like a hosted HTML version. You could just go and type everything as a reporting tool. Let's say there is an incident. You being the defensive guy, you're investigating that incident. You don't know the attribution. Some threat actor is attacking your maybe the open Citrix server or your or external VPN server. You corrected some of their tactics, but you don't know the attribution. You don't know which attacker is doing that, which threat actor group is doing that. So you can just create the report title as a threat actor report as a dummy actor. Then you can collect all the TTPs, and later at some point you get to decide, okay, these are the usual activities performed by Viceroy Panda, right? Then you can add that attribution. And one more thing to point out, they have very nice templates and sample reports. Threat report. See, you can all you have to do is just remove their logo and add your logo, and you can create very nice looking threat actor reports. I mean, whether it is a known threat actor or an unknown threat actor. You can see that they also give you a docx template. You don't have to use, boring, Word document, Excel sheet or not. You can just, use their template. This is free to use. This is open, right? You can remove their logo. And this is, see, when you talk to the management, it's all about the impact and all about the looks. They don't actually, again, recording. They don't care if you are going there with a long Excel sheet with a hell lot of technical details, right? They need a single slide with the impact and with the actual activities performed and what is the solution, right? So it's a very simple, simple thing. Two things. One is like you can use a web interface. Second thing, there is a very free template. You can use it for creating, a threat actor profile based on cyber threat intelligence, and you can also use it for executive report. This is also a very nice template. See, they have the key points listed there, the assessment type listed there, and they also gave you the free docx version. All right. So usually I would give like 10 to 15 minutes for every exercise to complete the exercise. But you can access all these stuff in the LMS as well. You can maybe later at home you can do it from home. I have so many cool stuff to show you. Okay, building adversary emulation scenario, because from the threat intel you pick a threat actor. Let's say your company is in the fintech industry. Let's say this is going to be a very easy option. Come on, man. When I search for MITRE attack matrix, a vendor shows up. Okay. Here you can see the groups there. This information is free. You can pick any threat actor which is aligned with your industry. The thing with MITRE is if you choose APT 30, more like coming from China, then if you can use the attack navigation layer, you get a nice interface with all the TTPs used by that threat actor. It's a very nice thing, but again, MITRE is totally volunteer driven. all their data. See, more like starting from recon to data exfiltration, and the activities performed by the attacker is like listed in there. So you can either use this information or you can use private feed to determine what are the attackers targeting my industry, fintech, government, oil, manufacturing, anything. And you can use this reporting template to map it to an actionable report, right? And the next thing is like building a TTP table. I told you like to create a threat actor report, to get hold of that, from the CTA data, right? Now you need a technical table so that the commands and other stuff needs to be executed in your organization. So here, uh, CTA sources is very important because you need to show them the source of that TTP. Let's say someone used a Tata using the Tata named maybe Fin7 is using valid accounts to perform a certain activity. You also need to mention from where you got that information. So here, this table is for my Lazarus group, a threat actor group. These are the activities performed by that group from initial access to data exfiltration. So on the right side, we are also mentioning the CTA source from where I got to know that this threat actor group is performing so and so activities. The attribution and CTA is very, very important. So you cannot, I mean, when we talk about adversary emulation, that is, we are emulating a threat actor. We need to have that data, right? Who told you about this threat actor is using so and so activities, right? So this is a table which we are going to build from that, So I show you a table, right? So this information, this is the table which we are going to build before performing an adversary emulation. Let's say we have the phase there, initial access, and under initial access, we are going to perform phishing. Then under phishing, we are going to perform spear phishing. On the example, we have mentioned that, okay, we will be sending a doc and macro file to the target because this is what Lazarus actually performed, right? When they attacked so and so entities. So this is the table which we need to create to perform adversary emulation. This is our ADV emulation plan. So here, the funny question. So if you are taking this table to your management and telling them that, okay, we are going to do this in our environment, right? Do you like this table? Anyone like this table? No? How many people like this table? This is actual data to emulate. How many people like this table? Raise your hand. Okay. I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. No one else? Okay. How many people like this? Come on. This is basically the same thing, right? This is basically the same thing. Like, and what do you think the management like more? The table here with all the TTPs, techniques and commands, or this one? That is obvious, too obvious, right? I mean, we need to visually show them like in which server the initial access is going to happen in our environment and what are the activities we are going to do in a visual kind of visualized environment, right? Visualized scenario, right? And how much time you need to create something like this? This is created in PowerPoint itself. All these are like different icons and images like that. How much time you need to create something like this? For something like this one. Couple of minutes. Oh, oh. No, I'll show you something. So I think how many of you know Attack Navigator, MITRE Attack Navigator? So it's common tool. So more like again something from MITRE. She's like you can most of the like the attack they have the layer create. I just shown you from here, right? Navish layer. If you're viewing this, you can see the MITRE Attack Navigator. It will just highlight the techniques used by the attacker, right? So if you are emulating like let's go back to Lazarus. Okay, Lazarus group. We can okay, they don't have it. Wonderful. Okay, here. and you're viewing it. This is the same table you are seeing from the previous slide, right? You can use this. That is one option because Attack Navigator is well known. Almost every booting guy knows that, right? Attack Navigator is there. But there is another cool project coming from, actually, this exercise for like 15 minutes. You can just go and, build the table in Attack Navigator manually. That was the exercise. I will show you something cool, something much cool. Attack Flow Builder. Again, a free and open source tool from MITRE called Attack Flow Builder. You cannot, maybe you will not be able to build something like this, but you can build something, looks the same in an easy manner. So if you could go to this URL, this one you'll have to do. I mean, I'll give like 5 minutes. You need to go to this URL. You can see that a hosted version, a freely hosted version of Attack Flow. So using Attack Flow, you can create very, very nice looking, attack path. Let me open that from my this thing. Attack Flow Builder. Let's say I'm opening muddy water. So we have, see, the activities performed by step-by-step activities performed by that attacker. And the good thing is you can also export this good-looking diagram or attack flow diagram as an image, and you can use it in your presentations. Again, this is a very nice way to demonstrate in front of your management. Okay, this is the attack flow, this is attack emulation plan, which we are going to execute in our environment. And at the same time, you can also create a new plan here. Create new. On the right side, you can see the properties. You can name maybe Lazarus plan, EMU plan, right? You can add the discussion. You can add the author names and other details. And the scope. This is very nice. Scope. You can see that multiple options are there, starting from incident. Okay, you are creating an attack path of an incident. Something happened in your organization. Someone attacked your server. You collected so and so data. You need to create a timeline. So usually SOC people, they create a timeline in a very, no offense guys, but using PowerPoint. This is where the attack happened, and this is where they extracted our sensitive data. Doesn't look good. You cannot add more details there because it's only a single page. So here you can add, create a very, very detailed flow diagram of an incident or a threat actor which is targeting your organization, right? So adversary emulation, creating adversary emulation plan, we'll be using the threat actor option so that we can pick the threat actor and we can add, external references like, which all, organizations reported this threat actor, everything. Here you can just simply right click it and you can create attack flow. Whether it is an action, assets or anything. If you're creating an action, nice little blocks. On the right side, you can name it. You can choose tactic IDs here from here itself. Don't have to Google it. You don't have to type it, right? So if I'm looking for like command and execute, command and control, just click it, right? Then you can see the reference. You can also add choose the technical ID. You don't have to type it. You don't have to search it. It's very, very easy for you to create it, right? Then you can also create a new action, and I'm going to name it something simple. And you can also connect in between, right? So it's more like using draw.io or any other, but it is only dedicated for CTI or creating attack plans, creating an incident report. So very, very cool on. MITRE is continuously updating this project. You can just save this as a file, or you can also export this as an image. And you can demonstrate in a hosted environment. You can include the same in your presentation decks. Very, very nice. And also it is very helpful for planning an adversary emulation engagement. Okay, so in order to execute, let me go to the lab environment here. Okay, so here, so you need to go here and you need to start the lab environment from the browser. It's on the left side, mentioning as systems. So you can see that all 4 of my systems are running. So we have an attacker machine called Adversary Kali, and we have a target machine, a workstation 01, and Elastic as well. Elastic will act as a SOC as well as EDR. All you have to do is just click on connect. It will be taking you to the Kali interface. You can see it in the browser. Yeah, connect. You need to start the entire lab and click connect. Okay. You can see it here. I'm also going to connect to my target, which is workstation 01, so that we have both in the browser here. Which I mean network are you connected to? Which network are you using here? This one, right? All right, all right. Guest. Do you have a different Wi-Fi or this is one? That's all right. Okay. So if you have registered here, then you'll have access for 4 hours. Yeah. I mean, you can use it anytime you want. Yeah, I'll use it. Um, Please adjust this thing a bit. Uh, the the projector is kind of slips on each end, right? No, they cannot see the edges there. It's kind of cuts the both sides. Yeah, yeah. Yes. So here, this is the same table which we had created earlier. And before going there, I would like to show you a nice thing as well. Emulating a single technique. This is to test a certain technique against, your security products. So if you go to that, code section, you can see the actual command. You can just copy and paste it to the machines, right? So before doing that, just quickly let me show you one more thing here. So in the chapters, if you go into the lab environment, you can also see that there is a SOC setup. So you can use this URL to access the SIM Elastic environment in the Kali machine. So all the activities performed in here, I mean, right now it is in detection only mode, but you can see all the stuff happening in the test machine in that SOC environment. In order to copy stuff, you just need to use.
Can we go to that or stick to the ones in machines that we focus on?
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, we put it in the Kali.
Yeah. You can use Control Shift Alt to, like, paste something to the machine inside. Yeah. And we have the posit as well. And it's better if you're doing it in a dedicated internet environment. This is kind of sucks for me as well. All right. I'm going to start a PowerShell. I mean, we can do one thing. I will show you just how to emulate a single activity. Then we can go to a full emulation because it needs some time to, set up the lab and do the exercise. So here, emulating a single technique, you can see the exercise on here. That is basically to save, the SAM file from the registry. So many attackers are still using this technique to dump the security accounts manager to the local system, from the registry. So this is an example of executing a single technique to test the defenses against a very, very small technique, right? So this is how we start small, starting with a single technique, then moving on to micro emulation plan, then moving on to a full emulation plan, right? That's a track here. You can simply just copy the command from here to test in your target environment. Sorry. And where is it? Copy. Control Alt Shift. Shit. Why? Why is it not showing? Come on, come on, come on. Okay. Let me refresh.
Which machine is this in? Is it the Opera?
Oh, no. This one. Double workstation 01. All right. I mean, it takes some time. We are opening everything from the browser, right?
Yes. Definitely.
Okay. This is just an example of, okay, you cannot see it, right? Shit.
Yeah, I had to come in again and get rid of that.
You can use Shift Control Alt to as a mediator between the VM. Yeah.
Yeah, don't hold up. Oh,
Okay.
okay.
This is one example. And the second thing, I mean, I mean, we don't time, we don't have. And this is another example for emulating a single technique against bypassing defenses. You can use it to test your antivirus or EDR program, by disabling a simple protection mechanism, like, system firewall or anything. These are just examples of single techniques, emulating a single technique, right? And micro emulation plans, again, another awesome thing coming from MITRE, because what they did, they created a collection of single techniques. Let's say there are 10 different single techniques to perform active directory enumeration. They made a collection of 10 different single techniques and built a micro emulation plan. That is also freely available in their GitHub repository. I'll show you quickly. So if you go to this uh, adversary emulation library from CTID, you can see that they have something called micro emulation plans here, down here. Let's say if you want to emulate activities of activity enumeration, data exfiltration, or web shells. So they have, I mean, see, this is, the flow is going like this. We can emulate a single technique to test against different security products, or we can create a collection of single techniques to form a micro emulation plan, right? Then we can go to full emulation plan, right? So once you reach the point of executing a full emulation plan, the next step is to do a dynamic simulation. So that is the flow, right? So here you can see the micro emulation plan for different aspects. Let's say DLS side loading, data exfiltration. So they basically, what they did, they took 10 different single emulation or single techniques to form a micro emulation plan. Let's say you want to emulate Active Directory recon against your security product. You can simply go there and download the executable and execute it in your environment. So that is very, very simple. These are the techniques comes under that that emulation, micro emulation plan, starting from account discovery to user discovery. So these are the common techniques performed by Bloodhound or Sharphound. So many organizations, they fail to detect that, right? There is a nice URL here. So if you go back to your LMS setup, all the links are there. Let's say micro emulation plan. You can click on the lab exercise. It actually shows you the link to Active Directory enumeration. There is a tool, small tool. See, you can simply download this executable to test or perform emulation of Active Directory recon, and understand how it is showing in your your sim tools or EDR or whatever it is. So when you perform this, you can download the tool and you can move it to the target machine here, and you can execute it from there, right? This you can start them whenever you want, but the thing is, the state will not be saved. You can do that. You can do that. You can because I mean, usually what I usually do, give them like 15 to 20 minutes to perform each exercise. I wait, but here we got like 45 minutes more. I need to show you some other cool stuff as well, because all the commands and everything is there in that LMS setup. You can access the LMS how long you want, but the lab credits actually I'm paying from my own pocket. So that's the reason you have like only 4 hours. Awesome, awesome. So you have the entire, to perform that micro emulation, you have the entire commands and structures are in there. Okay, awesome, awesome. So again, I have reserved again time intervals for each exercise. So I mean, this is where it makes more interesting. Before we go to full emulation plan, let me show you one more thing here. We are going to start a tool called Caldera. Again, an open source tool comes from MITRE. A lot of people use Caldera. A hell lot of people use Caldera, but we can fine tune Caldera to use in enterprise environment. So you cannot just download Caldera and use it in environment. It doesn't work like that. You need to make some changes in Caldera so that you can use it in your production environment. How many of you use any commercial BAS product, breach and attack simulation product? No. So that is the next step. So I would advise maybe you can use open and free tools to perform attack emulation for 1 year. When you know that, okay, a couple of my defenses got improved, and now I need something commercial to test it very hard. That's the time to move on to a commercial BAS tool, breach and attack simulation tool. By that time, we have plenty of tools to play with. Caldera is like more like it looks exactly similar to a commercial BAS product, which a lot of features, and you also get to customize Caldera as much you want, right? So I'll show you how to launch Caldera in a test environment. Your lab has even the tools which I was not mentioning in the slides. I mean, once you explore that, you get to know that many tools are in there, which you use for other paid commercial engagement. Okay, so here, let me go and start Caldera and just quickly show you how to get it done. Then you can practice in the lab environment. I also included the download links for the VMs, the first page. You can also download and use it in your lock environment. It also has Caldera and all the other tools. Yes, exactly, yes. So what we should do is like we send them the links to download the VM at least 1 week before. Then once you can download, and I mean, again, many people will not be having the processing power to launch maybe 3 VMs in the laptop, right? It did not work as planned. So that's the reason why we are using the cloud environment. It's very easy. All you need to have is like a proper internet connection. So I'm going to just use a virtual environment. You get the commands in this thing. You can also, I mean, right now I want to show you how to start it. Otherwise, in the production environment, we used to set it as a service, right? So Python virtual environment, because we are using, you know how Python is, like, and your VMs will perform based on your internet access. If you have a fast connection, I mean,
For your own environment, do you use cloud environment? Have like certain
no, I'm using a vendor, a provider. So usually I used to spin the stuff with Terraform, but it did not work as planned. So this thing, they are letting the participant create their own VMs. It's not the same VM you are using. You get your own spin up. Yeah. Okay. So this is where the Caldera is going to be. Come on. Okay, still loading. And one thing with setting up open source tools, you have to really spend a lot of time to troubleshoot them. You have to spend a lot of time to get it work, right? And once you get it up and running, some of the stuff get duplicated. Then, then it's a different story altogether. I used to create my own repositories because one project got deprecated. I created my own thing to maintain that deprecated items. And it's a different thing. That's the thing. Many organizations are not using open source on an approved basis, because who is responsible? If something happens, who is accountable for that activity, right? I was talking to one guy back in RSA conference, and he mentioned something serious. That is more like if you are using an open source project, look who are the contributors, why are they contributing. So there is a reason for people to contribute to open source projects. Why are they contributing to that certain project, and who are the contributors? These are two important points when you use that open source project for your enterprise environment. The username is going to be red and admin. Again, you can see the entire information in your, oh, you cannot see the right end, right?
Or
So I'm going to deploy. So this is more like an agent server kind of setup. You need to deploy the agents in your target machines. Then you can, make them do activities. That's the whole setup here. So to do that, I need to deploy an agent in the test machine which I have here. Let me check whether I have Windows Defender enabled here somewhere. I'm going to create a Sandcat because Sandcat is one of the, stable agents which Caltra is using. You can pick Windows, Linux, or anything you want. And this is a PowerShell script. You can just simply execute the PowerShell script in the target machine. Or you can also compile binaries and you can, download them. You can just send them to your target. So multiple options are there. So here I'm going to use like the easiest option here. And what I'm going to do is I need to make some changes here. I need to add the IP address of my Caldera instance so that the server will connect back to my attacker machine. So to do that, you can go here, check the systems, check the IP, 22.46. 22.46, 10.0, copy it, go to the Windows machine, paste it. Why?
this is actually too cool. You going Mac?
No, Windows. Okay. Now we're going to copy this and let's see how Windows Defender blocks it. No, good thing. And we can come back here and look at the agents. So this is just the off the shelf usage of Caldera. But when you go to the production, we don't use that. We create executable, host it somewhere, go to the target machine, download and execute. Right? Sometimes we also provide exclusions in our machines and also put our SIM systems in detection only mode. Okay, I think Defender is here. You will also have to turn this because as part of this training, there is one more module that is, you can bypass the defenses and execute something and how you detect it in the SIM. So this is where the commercial BAS projects comes into picture. So Caldera has a single agent, right? You can add exclusion to your antivirus or EDR product to exclude that. So commercial BAS products, they have two agents. One agent work as a carrier. You can deploy it in your test machine or your production environment, and you can exclude that executable in your EDR and antivirus or any tool you want, right? This tool, they will be creating a different temp folder. All the malware and test scenario will be pasted there. So in that way, the carrier will not be detected by the EDR, but the activities performed by the carrier will be detected. That's a simple, nice setup used by commercial BAS. But Caldera, they have only one agent. So sometimes you deploy that in your production machine. Your endpoint security products will not let you, run that. So that is on a very small, backslash with Caldera. So I used something, to do the manual attack simulation, I did something in the past years that is more like using two different C2 command and control tools. One I use as an exclusion mode so that it will be acting as a carrier. Second C2 will be as part of the attack simulation plan. So using the excluded C2, I'll be carrying out executions in a folder where it was not added as an exclusion in any security product. But this is kind of out of the box, and it could land you in trouble. And it's better not to go that way. And we can see that an agent has agent is up and running, and so these are the main options with the Caldera. Like on the left side, you can see that abilities are there, adversaries are there, operations are there. Abilities are more like the techniques and procedures provided you by MITRE. Let's say I'm going to search phishing. So these are the phishing abilities provided by MITRE. If you want to test a certain phishing technique in your environment, you can pick this one, macro enabled phishing attachment. This is one option. Multiple of abilities are there. These are defense evasion abilities, like in how Scarab ransomware perform defense evasion. These are all pre-built activities in MITRE Caldera. And there is one more option, adversary. This is a really interesting one. All the threat actors I have shown you in the previous slides, they have pre-built emulation plans here. Let's say AP29, like Russian threat actor. So if you scroll down, starting from initial access execution, they have listed all the techniques used by AP29. Let's say I'm going to click on like command and scripting interpreter. So we can see that the actual command used by this threat actor is to as a technique. Right? So if you execute this, the entire setup will be executed in the single agent, right? So that is the off-the-shelf setup. But when we do it in enterprises, you remember that fancy-looking diagram? Yeah, that's so. This one I created. I created a long time back for a couple of hours, because these are all different images downloaded from internet. And it is actually easy. Like it will not take you more than like 1 hour. Very easy. So here we have one agent in our target machine, right? Just imagine there is an enterprise laptop. So there is no point in executing the attacks from starting from initial access to exploitation in the same laptop, right? Maybe the threat actor, they used an initial access vector, like exploiting an internet-facing server. So there is no point in emulating those activities in a user laptop. Right? You got my point, right? In the enterprise, when you do that, let's say we have 1, 2, 3, 4 servers here, you will be using 4 different agents, right? You'll be deploying 4 different agents into 4 different machines. Exactly. Then you create the plan and you split the AP29 or Lazarus or any plan. You split that into 4. You look at like, okay, these are the activities performed in end user laptop. You pick them and you execute them only in the end user laptop. So that's how you get the actual picture, right? Otherwise, you will be getting a lot of useless junk data from the execution. There is no point in, you got my point, right? There is no point in executing server-side attacks in an enterprise laptop. No point in doing that. There's a waste of time. So that is one big thing many people would do using open source product. They would just use it as, off the shelf. Yeah, big blanket. Just deploy the agent, execute, pick up the data, exploit everything. No, that is not going to get you any result. It will get you some result, but that kind of thing. Yeah, you could get detected, but there is no point in executing like server-related attacks on an enterprise laptop, right? That's the point. So that's where this thing comes into picture. You can just deploy multiple agents in multiple machines. You could complete the entire attack cycle. So when you purchase a commercial BaaS product, they will do it for you automatically. They will show you a diagram like this. You can pick the agents and you can select the attacks in the enterprise. I mean, sorry, in the interface itself and execute it. Right? That's why the enterprises with money, they buy, these products. Okay, coming back here, there's one more thing called operations. So here you can create a new operation. This is where we create execute an actual attack simulation plan. Come on. Here you can pick an operation name. You can select any adversary you want and you can execute it. That is one thing. Another thing is, come on, go to adversaries. I'm going to create a new profile. I'm going to name it as new adversary. Let it be new adversary. And we can add abilities manually. You remember that table, that TDS table, right? Now you can search for each item from that table and we can add it here. Let's say initial access or phishing. Okay, download a macro enable phishing attachment. Okay, we can add it here. And we need something for credential dumping, or I can search for LSAS. Okay, them LSAS. Okay. And we can save it as one plan. So if you remember from that deck, that image, these two are for the endpoint laptops, right? You can pick them. I have saved them as new adversary. Go to operations, create a new operation, name something, and you can pick the new adversary in the bottom part. Very simple. It's not saved.
Install this agent user to something for the
No. I mean, they are kind of trying to download a doc file into that machine and trying to execute it. It usually doesn't have any malicious kind of thing. More like emulation kind of thing. No. Yeah, emulating, yeah. They're just testing that a macro enabled document can be executed or not. Any security product there, allowing it to be executed or not. Exactly. Yes. I think just not saved. Okay.
Simulation versus
Yeah, emulation is more like we are just following the actual footprints. Simulation is more like we are adding our own stuff as well. Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. It's against not the testing against the user, against the defensive products. I'll show you a dynamic plan as well, like okay. Okay. Yeah. I need to show you one more cool stuff. So here again, like click a new operation, create any pre-built plan or anything you created. It's down there. Okay, new advisory, and you can start it. Then it will start executing all these activities we selected in the targeted agent. And you get to observe the stuff in the dashboard as well. Okay, it executes. Okay, going back to the slide pretty quickly. So this is how you usually create a custom plan and port it into Caldera and execute it. Also, you can use supposed to be an exercise of 30 minutes. You can create, just create that emulation plan, add abilities one by one to Caldera and execute it. So if you have like 3 different agents, create 3 different plans suitable for 3 different targets, 3 different security products as well. So that's how we use it in enterprise. There is no point in using Caldera in the default mode for enterprises. It doesn't bring you any actionable value. You need to fine tune it, right? Then document. You need to document everything, because the thing with Caldera, it actually gives you a pretty nice documentation. For example, let's say go to adversaries. So if you click on this, it will tell you what is the actual command which is going to use, what is the cleanup command, what is the time, what are the different programs it was using. So all you have to do is you can just document in any way you want. I'll show you. I mean, this is an example. Like again, documentation. So you have seen the old table. Here you can see some additional thing. So I have marked that which I have tested against which security control, whether it was detected, blocked, or alerted, what was the not, and what was the fine-tuning commands and detection rules. Right? This thing you need to, I mean, this is very simple one, but usually it will be a very, very long one with a lot of comments and stuff to be shared with the blue team, enterprise, IT operation, network team. Based on the tools you tested. Here we have EDR and AV, so most probably this will go to the endpoint security management team. If it is firewalls, then that's a different team altogether, right? It's about using open source tools to bring more value, right? Okay. So again, what is next? Here you can see different set of product category there. You can create your own emulation plans to test each of these security products. The same plan you use for antivirus will not work for DLP systems or web proxies, right? That's where you need to come up with a more dynamic emulation plans. I will show you something. This one. How does it look? So this one, this is a dynamic simulation plan. It's not an emulation, simulation plan. So I created this one for the maldoc Folina. It came out back in 2022, right? A zero-day vulnerability, right? So usually to emulate this, all we have to do is create a doc file and execute in your laptop, just to understand whether it is getting detected by your AV, EDR or anything, right? So what I did, I created an entire attack simulation plan, starting from initial access to exfiltration. So if you're looking at the point 1, sending maldoc created with Folina to the end user, you can see the point that is to validate email secure systems and defense. If that user is receiving that email, that means there is something wrong with your email security, right? The second thing, this guy is downloading and executing it, right? So that is to validate 2 controls. One is like endpoint security controls, and second thing is to validate the effectiveness of your patching. So this vulnerability is not patched in your environment, obviously that is going to execute, right? The third point, after execution, this guy is going to a different URL and downloading a payload in HTML format. So if that is happening, this is to validate your web proxies. I mean, Zscaler, Syscompiler. If this user is able to access this malicious URL, then that means you need to work with your web proxies. There is something wrong with the web proxies. If you're looking at the URL, we are using an Amazon default URL. That means if your organization is heavily using AWS or Azure, that is where we'll be hosting the malware and phishing captures. Because chances are very high that you'll be whitelisting all those, default URLs. So basically, this is a dynamic simulation plan which would help you to, test against at least 5 different security products, right? So all I wanted to do was test a maldoc against EDR and AV, but by creating this dynamic simulation plan, I was able to test against multiple security products, outbound security controls, like web proxies, EDR, HADR, different type of security products. So this kind of looks messy, but this is the stuff you want to start doing with respect to dynamic adversary emulation. Simulation. This doesn't cost you much. For example, How much is it going to cost you? This is more like a red team infrastructure. We very, very basic red team infrastructure, which we use to, target the clients, right? So like look, count the number of surveys, number of domains. And I am saying that this is very, very basic setup. Even if you, as a blue teamer, you found my domain, which is hosting the phishing campaign, and even if you, kind of, report that domain, I can very easily change the domain, right? Because I have a redata in front of my actual surveys. In many cases, there will be multiple redatas, right? And this is very costly, right? That's why red team engagements are like expensive. So here, if you notice the green line, we can pick only one item from this adversary infrastructure, and we can create a simulation plan. That doesn't cost you much. So if you want to build the entire infrastructure to test against your company, a lot of approvals, a lot of money is required, right? But to pick only one item and make a simulation plan out of it. Let's say the green one is going for maybe a small C2 server and test against your defenses. So that is the actual logic. It doesn't cost you much. You can get started maybe tomorrow after you get approvals, right? And conclusion, this is like, this is not a replacement for a teaming. So you can do continuous security control validation at least once a week, twice a month, and a collaborative exercise at least twice a year, and red team engagements once a year, because that is where the street fight is come into picture. They come in and they can even find more security issues within your environment, more like a think outside the box kind of scenario. This one, I show this image everywhere because I like elephants. Expect the unexpected. Yeah, it is real. Yeah. So you know how an elephant is going to attack you. It is going to be charging at you, right? So maybe you can come up with many scenarios. Like I can run like zigzag model. I can climb a tree. I can jump into water. I can drive away, right? So these are the expected outcomes of that attack, right? So this is totally unexpected. You will never expect that an elephant will be jumping on top of you from a tree, right? This is what happening in the attacker segment right now. We cannot even expect what is going to happen. What are the different attacks used by these attackers? So this is where we need to expect the unexpected and simulate the unknown. You need to think outside the box, come up with simulation scenarios, right, which would make us deal with such unexpected situations in the future, right? So I showcase this image everywhere because this is the best example of, yeah, unexpected, yeah. Oh, I think that's it, guys.